and welcome to this UPSC Navigator series. If you also want to be one of those UPSC aspirants who are able to make it to the final list, then there are certain mistakes that you ought to avoid when it comes to your UPSC CSE Prelims preparation. And that would be a part of our discussion today. So stay tuned. Now the first common mistake which majority of the UPSC aspirants do is they do not have a study plan. And as has been rightly stated by Benjamin Franklin, that if you fail to plan, you're actually planning to fail. Why is it so? See, every UPSC aspirant has only 24 hours in a particular day. And the one who are able to make it to the final list, they utilize every minute of these 24 hours. And majority of the students who fail to clear this examination, what we have seen is, as I've been mentoring a lot of students, is that they do not have any effective study plan. So they face a lot of time management issues because they are not able to track where all they are wasting their time, and they do not have any disciplined approach when it comes to covering the syllabus. They are guided by mood, okay? So they randomly pick up any subject and they start reading that. If let's say on Monday I'm feeling like reading polity, they'll start reading polity. Tuesday they feel like reading economy or geography, they'll start reading that. So there is no coherence when it comes to their study schedule. And on account of lack of study plan, what happens is they are not able to give due attention to practice and revision. That affects their comprehensive understanding when it comes to a particular subject, and they are always like this confused student. So why do we need a study plan? So that we are guided by a disciplined approach and we are not guided by our mood. That is the go with the flow approach. And when I say that I need to have a study plan, what do I actually mean? It means that before you go to the bed, whatever target you want yourself to be, you achieve next day, you need to list down that one night before. And the targets that you're listing down for yourself needs to be realistic. It should not be unrealistic, okay? And when I say realistic targets, initially you should set for yourself short targets, and as and when your appetite increases, when it comes to sitting for studying, if you're able to sit for long hours, then you should increase the targets that you list down for yourself for the next day. And when it comes to listing down the targets, you need to do micro listing. What do I mean by micro listing? You actually need to jot down what are the topics which you are going to finish, what are the sources that you are going to refer when it comes to covering that particular topic. Okay, so micro listing of the schedule should be there. This study plan actually helps us in streamlining the resources also. So you do not haphazardly, refer multiple resources for completing a particular topic. And when we have a study plan, it enables us to strike a perfect balance when it comes to giving due attention to reading, giving due attention to practice and revision, which ultimately helps us to develop comprehensive understanding with regard to the topics which are mentioned in a particular subject, okay? Now, the other common mistake which majority of the students do is they create a library. Why is it so? Because they have FOMO, fear of missing out. And what happens because of this, every next day or every week when they go to the market, they come across new, books for a particular aspect of our main syllabus. Now, they tend to buy that particular book and they do not look into this particular thing that you compare any 2-3 resources for a particular subject, you will hardly find 10% difference in that. But since they are guided by FOMO, fear of missing out, they tend to buy all these new, material which is coming in the market, and at the end, they end up like this. They create a library around them. And while doing this, they basically ignore the syllabus. When it comes to UPSC preparation, one thing that you need to keep in mind is, here you cannot say that your preparation is up to the mark just because you have read 5-6 books, okay? Your preparation would be said to be comprehensive or up to the mark when you have prepared each and every word which is mentioned in your UPSC mains as well as prelim syllabus. Okay, so when it comes to UPSC, the preparation should be guided by the syllabus and not by number of books that you are going to read when it comes to a particular subject. And why majority of the students do this? Because they try to become an expert and they forget that they are basically preparing for a generalist exam, okay, and not a specialist exam like that of a professor. And while doing this, they basically ignore the basic text like NCRTs, like your class notes, newspapers, standard books, etc. And they forget to understand the mindset of UPSC. What UPSC does is, it tries to create a level playing field. So it basically picks up questions from these basic tests, that is the NCERT, newspapers and the standard books, which are readily accessible and available to any aspirant who is studying from anywhere when it comes to India. And what happens when they create a library? They are reading a lot of materials when it comes to a particular subject. They feel that they are trying to become an expert. But ultimately, what happens when you read a lot of books, you are unable to give due attention to revision. And when it comes to attempting the paper in the examination hall, you will be confused. You will not be able to eliminate the options, because to come or to arrive at the right answer, you need to do multiple revision. Okay, you need to have conceptual clarity with regard to that particular concept. So what I need to do, I need to limit my resources. Why? Because first thing that we need to remember is it is not a specialist examination, rather it is a generalist exam. Okay, so you need to have basic conceptual clarity with regard to the topics which are mentioned in your syllabus, rather than becoming an expert in a particular subject. See, you're not planning to become a professor in that particular subject. And when it comes to preparing, you need to stick to the UPSC syllabus. You should not be guided by number of books that you have to read. Rather, your preparation should be streamlined according to the words which are mentioned in the UPSC main syllabus as well as prelim syllabus. You need to make sure that you do multiple revision, and when we have limited resources, we are able to make sure that we revise that content multiple times, which helps us in developing comprehensive understanding when it comes to a particular topic, and which ultimately helps us to arrive at the right answer when it comes to UPSC CSE prelims examination. It helps us to connect the dots, and when we have limited resources, we also have due time for practice. Then another common mistake which majority of the UPSC aspirants do is, since UPSC time and again changed the pattern of prelims paper. Okay, so in one year the prelims paper could be quite on the tougher end, the other year it could be on a easier front. So majority of the UPSC aspirants, what they do is they are only preparing for prelims. So they have only prelims focused preparation. And what is the lacuna of this thing is, you would be unable to develop comprehensive understanding when it comes to a particular topic. And you will not be able to give due attention to the static syllabus. When a person or a UPSC aspirant is only preparing for the prelims, what happens is they invest around 5 to 6 hours when it comes to current affairs only. So they are not able to give due attention to the static syllabus, which in turn at the end affects their comprehensive understanding when it comes to a particular topic. And they ultimately fail to tackle those questions wherein the UPSC have picked up one sentence from the static portion and one sentence from the current. Okay, what is happening in the current with regard to that particular topic. In order to deal with such questions, you need to have clarity both with regard to the static content as well as the current affairs. But when you are only preparing for the prelims, you at time fails to give due attention to the static syllabus. Then what happens is we are unable to solve conceptual as well as analytical questions which are nowadays coming. Nowadays, UPSC is not checking your factual clarity, whether you are clear with the facts or not. Rather, if you look at the prelims questions, now they are checking your conceptual clarity as well as the analytical aspect that you have with regard to that particular concept or not. Okay, whether you are able to analyze that concept or not. And then when you are only preparing for the prelims, what happens is you ultimately struggle with mains. Because the 100 days that we have between the prelims and mains, that is basically given to you so that you can do multiple revision for the mains content that you have created, content that you have prepared for each and every topic which is there in the main syllabus, and so that you can further enhance your answer writing practice. Okay, you can enhance your answer writing capabilities. If you start preparing for the mains in those 100 days, it becomes very difficult to manage the main stage of this examination. And ultimately what happens when you struggle with mains, you fail to clear the mains, and then you do not have enough time to focus upon mains. You again have to start for your next year prelims preparation. And ultimately what happens? You get trapped in a vicious cycle of attempts. You never get the due time to analyze what went wrong when it comes to the mains preparation. Okay, so what we have to do in this regard, we have to go for integrated preparation. What do I mean by integrated preparation? That I not just need to focus upon prelim specific syllabus, I also need to pay attention to the topics which are common to pre and mains, like your subjects like polity, geography, environment, science and technology, economy, etc. And you also need to give due attention to main specific syllabus like your ethics, governance, social justice, society, etc. and your optionals also. So why do we need to give due attention to integrated preparation? So that we are not only prelims ready, rather we are ready for the whole examination. Okay. So what we need to do? Firstly, we need to finish our NCERTs, okay, because that is the basic text. Then what we need to do, whenever we are reading a particular topic, you need to cover that topic from both prelims as well as mains perspective. What do I mean by that? I mean that whenever I am reading a particular topic, I will be reading it from the perspective of both prelims and mains. That means I will be solving the MCQs also, okay, and I will be writing mains answers also. I will be looking into previous year mains questions as well as practice mains questions when it comes to that particular topic. Okay, so that's how I'll be doing integrated preparation. And when I say integrated preparation, one thing that you need to keep in mind is by the end of January, you should make sure that you are done with this common syllabus, which is common to both prelims and mains, and you are done with main specific syllabus, basically your optional. So by January end, I need to be done with my optionals as well as the topics which are main specific. And the last 3-4 months, you can focus primarily on your prelims preparation. Then, another common mistake which majority of the UPSC aspirants do is they ignore the low-hanging fruits, that is the previous year questions. They are a treasure. Previous year questions only helps you understand that what is the demand of UPSC when it comes to prelims, when it comes to mains. And previous year questions only helps us understand that what are the topics on which UPSC is time and again asking questions. So it helps us prioritize the topics also. It helps us understand the themes which are getting repeated. You pick up the previous year questions, you will find out that when it comes to topics like anti-defection law, how the constitution is amended on these particular themes, you get questions multiple year, okay, difference between money bill, financial bill, etc. Then summer solstice, okay. Then it is a previous year question only which helps us understand that how you have to read a particular topic when it comes to the prelim stage of the examination. Now, when you look at the previous year history questions, you will understand that what is the demand of the UPSC. They are asking that who all leaders were associated with a particular movement. Then what was the method which was used by people, who was the prominent sections which participated in that particular movement, and what is the chronology of the events. They do not expect you to remember the exact factual dates, which is at times asked in state PCS, but that is not the demand when it comes to UPSC examination. So this you are able to understand with the help of previous year questions only. And when you practice previous year question, automatically you will witness a change in the way you read the text. Okay, because with previous year question, we tend to understand that, okay, what is the demand of UPSC when it comes to prelims, when it comes to mains. So accordingly, you can make the necessary changes when it comes to your preparation. Then it also helps you understand the micro themes when it comes to mains, okay. And it also helps you understand that what are different kinds of questions which are being asked when it comes to a particular subject, okay. As I told you previously, UPSC used to focus upon factual details, but if you look at the recent years prelims paper, you will witness that there's an increase in conceptual based questions, okay, along with the factual ones. Now, another mistake which UPSC aspirants do is they are busy in reading only. They didn't give due attention to practice. One reason is I have to read a lot. There are a lot of subjects. We understand that this is the issue when it comes to UPSC. But without practice, you will stand nowhere. It is with practice only that you get to understand that what are the mistakes that you are doing. Okay, it helps you redefine your preparation, because the more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in war. Okay. And when we do practice, when we solve the MCQs, when we solve the previous year MCQs that are there, when we solve the previous year mains questions, that is when we get to understand that what are the mistakes that I'm doing when it comes to my reading aspects. Okay, without practice, you will never be able to understand what are the things that you are doing wrong. And you will always be lost, confused, unsure, unclear, perplexed, disoriented. Okay. And when you do practice, then you are able to figure it out that which subject needs more attention, which is the area in which you need to give due attention. So accordingly, you can make your revision schedule also. And when you do practice, it is suggested that you solve the, the mock test that you give for prelims. It is suggested that you give the mock test at exactly same time when you are supposed to give the GS paper 1 prelims. Okay, that is between 9:30 to 11:30, so that you stimulate your mind for that. Your mind should be active when it comes to this time interval. Okay. And when you give the mocks, when it comes to prelims, it helps you develop your own unique way of attempting the paper. Okay. Some people might be attempting only 70 questions, some attempt 80, or some attempt 85 to 90 questions. So what is your range of questions which helps you get the required marks? That you will be able to figure it out only when you have given considerable number of mocks. Okay. So in order to develop your own unique way of attempting the paper, or your own unique way of attempting strategy, you need to give due number of mocks. So don't ignore the practice part. Another mistake which UPSC aspirants do is they ignore revision. Now see, when it comes to UPSC preparation, you have to process a lot of information. You have 4 GS papers, you have optional paper, you have the humongous current affairs. But if you don't give due attention to revision, all the efforts that you're putting in when it comes to the reading part would go waste. And what could be the scientific way of overcoming the forgetfulness? Okay, so you need to make sure that you're revising the content immediately after the class, then 24 hours later, then 1 week later, and then 1 month later. So this is the scientific way of planning your revision, so that you do not forget a particular topic and the fact and the conceptual aspect related to that particular topic. Okay. Because when you don't give due attention to revision, what happens is you are just living in a myth that I have covered the entire syllabus. But without revision, I can guarantee you that you will not be able to solve prelims questions, because we are provided with multiple options which are at times very confusing, and we are able to eliminate the options only when we have done multiple revisions. So revision is very important along with solving the mocks. One common mistake which I have witnessed among the students is, since I have told you previously that you need to give due attention to mocks, what students do is they read the test and they are busy in solving the mocks. They do not analyze the mocks and they don't give due attention to revision. Their complaint is, I am able to eliminate 2 options, but at the end I arrive at the wrong answer. They feel that just by educated guesswork they will be able to arrive at the right answer. Absolutely not. Along with solving mocks, you also need to give due attention to revision, because it's on account of revision only that you are not able to arrive at the right answer. Because when it comes to the prelims paper, 35 questions are something which you need to know short, and that you will be able to do only when you have given due multiple revision. Okay, if you have done multiple revision with regard to a particular subject. So don't just rely on the educated guesswork, you also need to give due attention to revision. And revision is something which is very crucial when it comes to the main stage of the examination, because otherwise without revision you will never be able to write an answer within 7 to 8 minutes. And it is also crucial for prelims also. And what another mistake that I have witnessed among the students is, let's suppose a particular subject was your graduation subject. So they become overconfident when it comes to that particular subject, and they do not give due attention to that particular subject. That means they do not revise that particular subject. And what happens in the examination when we are faced with MCQs, they at time are not able to come at the right answer, okay, on account of lack of revision. So don't become overconfident in any particular subject, revise every subject. Okay, you can prioritize certain subjects in which you are not able to score well, but do not ignore any particular subject. It is revision only which helps us to consolidate the knowledge with regard to a particular topic. And if you are only reading, you are not doing revision, ultimately what would happen? You will be unable to recall in the examination hall. And as we have already discussed, you will be able to overcome this with a scientific way of revision. Okay, and that is, you revise a particular content right after the class, then within 24 hours, then within 1 week, and then lastly within 1 month. This is how you can plan your revision in a scientific manner. Then another mistake which UPSC aspirants do is they are overly focusing upon current affairs. This is a mistake which we have discussed previously, which majority of the UPSC aspirants do because they are fearful regarding prelims and they are only preparing for the prelims. And what they do is, on account of fear of missing out, they read 2-3 newspapers to make sure that no fact is left out. Okay, they are covering every fact. They read 2 current affairs magazine. They would be solving daily quiz from 2 to 3 platforms. And what happens because of this? They are investing around 5 to 6 hours when it comes to current affairs. This is something which the toppers have also committed. And ultimately they failed to clear this examination, and when they rectified this mistake, then only they were able to clear this examination. So what we need to do when it comes to managing the current affairs, we need to read one newspaper. You need to supplement your newspaper reading with any particular source. Either it could be portal content or it could be the analyst. And then when it comes to solving the daily quiz, you need to refer to one or at max 2 portals, okay, to check how far you were able to understand when it comes to the current affairs that you have read throughout the day. And when it comes to current affairs magazine, you need to refer to only one current affairs magazine, whichever you find suitable, okay, which you are able to comprehend well. And when it comes to current affairs, you're not supposed to invest more amount of time when it comes to current affairs. Make sure that you are finishing all these things within 1 to 2 hours. Okay, initially you would be taking 2 to 3 hours, but as and when you progress in the preparation, after a span of 2-3 months, the time that you are supposed to invest in current affairs should not be more than 1 to 2 hours. You need to give due attention to static syllabus also. Then only you will be able to develop comprehensive understanding with regard to a particular topic. Because remember, I told you, nowadays if you look at the questions, the UPSC would be picking up one statement from static and one statement from current. And in order to deal with such questions effectively, you need to balance the current as well as the static portion of the syllabus. Moving on to the next mistake which UPSC aspirants do is they disturb their circadian rhythm. What do I mean by circadian rhythm? That is the sleep and wake cycle. Majority of us are night owls, so we prefer to study, entire night. But we forget that you actually have to attempt the examination in the morning. That is between 9:30 to 11:30. And then in the afternoon, you have to appear for CSAT, 2:30 to 4:30. So this is the time when your mind should actually function at its optimum level. But when you disturb your circadian rhythm, what happens is, in the examination hall, when your mind actually needs to work at its fullest potential, the mind would be sleeping. If you have not rectified your sleep and wake cycle, what would happen? While attempting the prelims paper, you will not be able to comprehend the question, or otherwise you will take more amount of time, 2 to 3 minutes to comprehend a single question. You will be unable to recall the facts because your mind is sleeping at that time. It is not completely awakened. You will not be able to make educated guesswork effectively, and you might commit mistakes when it comes to filling the OMR sheet, which could lead to loss of a lot number of marks, because if you fill one bubble wrong, rest of the questions would automatically be wrong. So how we can rectify this? How we can maintain a healthy sleep and wake cycle? So 1 month before the examination, try to rectify your sleep and wake cycle. Okay, sleep during the night and wake up in the morning. So this adjustment you need to do 1 month before the examination. Don't forget this. Other things that you can do to maintain a healthy wake sleep cycle is get adequate sunlight, do exercise, keep naps shorter when it comes to afternoon naps, avoid caffeine right before you are going to bed, and avoid using electronics when you are about to sleep, and build a consistent sleep schedule. Every day you have to sleep at a particular time and you have to wake at a particular time. And when it comes to solving the mocks, make sure that you are solving the mocks at the right time when you are going to give that GS paper ultimately in the final examination hall. That means you have to give the mocks between 9:30 and 11:30 and 2:30 and 4:30. That is when it comes to CSAT practice. Do CSAT, solve the mocks when it comes to CSAT between this time interval, so that your mind is stimulated to work at this 2 time intervals effectively. That's all that we have to discuss with regard to this particular video. All the very best for your preparation and keep learning.